Hey, we're back, the El Donzo and D Show, here on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal. I'm El Donzo.
I'm Deez.
And in the last segment, we started talking about Yevgeny, is it Yevgeny or Yevgeny Prigozhin? Potatoes. Let's call the whole thing off.
Call him?
Let's just call him Prigozhin.
There you go.
Prigozhin. So anyway, Prigozhin supposedly died last week in a plane crash. We were talking about that. And my theory, of course, I discussed in the tail end of the last segment, if you're just now tuning in, was that he was working with Putin, staging this coup against the Russian military to weed out the people that knew about it so Putin could essentially get rid of him, which he did rather quickly. Now, Prigozhin gets exiled to Belarus after this. It was back in, what was it, June? Or no, it was July.
Yeah, something like that.
I think it was back in June. Anyways, a couple months ago, does his big march into Moscow. The Wagner Group dusts a couple of Russian planes and sits down and comes to a truce with Vladimir Putin, gets exiled to Belarus, but is supposedly flying all around Russia, meanwhile doing whatever the hell he wants to do. All of a sudden, he's going from, what was it, Moscow to St. Petersburg, and his plane gets crashed. Okay, explosions. They think somebody packed explosives. They think it was a ground-to-air missile. They don't know. They're speculating at this point. Russia confirms it's him through DNA evidence. But then this video comes out. Now, which is really weird because the way he's dressed in this video, it's obviously he's in Africa. It doesn't look like he's in Russia. But this video supposedly was taken in Africa previously, before the plane crash, a couple of days. But this just got released by the Wagner Group.
There was a video of him in Africa prior to the plane.
Correct. And this supposedly is the same video, people are saying, but nobody knows for sure. So anyway, what he says is, this is quote, "To those who talk about my liquidation, private life, and earnings or whatever else, strictly speaking, everything's all right. Okay? For anyone discussing whether I'm alive or not and how I'm doing, it's a weekend in the second half of August 2023. I'm in Africa." So Prigozhin went to great lengths because he was always worried about getting whacked, and a lot of people wanted to off him. So this video comes out. Who put it out? The Wagner Group. Why'd they put it out? Is Prigozhin still alive? There was another plane that they said landed right after his plane went down. So it's one of these things. I don't trust anything coming out of the Russian government. I wouldn't be surprised if Prigozhin's still alive, because he did have a lot of people that wanted to have his head. And I'm not talking about Vladimir Putin. Everybody goes Putin, Putin, Putin. It's not all about Putin. He really rubbed a lot of people in the Russian military the wrong way. I wouldn't be surprised if Putin helped him. I wouldn't be surprised if Putin knows where he's at.
I wouldn't be surprised if he faked his death to hide from Putin either.
He's faked his death before. He's a master of disguise. He has multiple doubles. They even said that they believe that supposedly his wife that was at his funeral was actually the wife of one of his doubles. And it was a really close ceremony. Nobody from the public could view it. There's a lot of weirdness going on here. But like I said, I'll call the same shots with Ukraine as well. I don't trust anything coming out of Russia. I don't trust anything coming out of Ukraine. One news site will tell you how bad, Russia's doing and Ukraine's winning this war. And then the next day, Ukraine needs, $20 billion more and all these F-16s and, these drones to stop Russia. So I don't know what to believe.
Yet I keep seeing images and videos of people partying in the pools and everything in Ukraine.
So, I was talking with somebody about that, getting into the Ukraine war a little bit more than I kind of thought we were going to do in this segment, but that's all right. Look, I believe there's parts of Ukraine. Look, Ukraine's almost destroyed. Now, Kiev seems to be doing pretty good, but Kiev is pretty far removed from the eastern border, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're pretty westward in Ukraine. I'm not going to judge that by a couple of pictures. I know people are suffering over there. I know the war is real, okay? And I know Ukraine's being destroyed. At what cost is America, so let's put it this way, America's fighting the war. I don't think at times Vladimir Zelensky wants this to continue. I would say there's probably benefit if it does for him down the road. because he's getting an awful lot of money from the U.S. government. The U.S. government, folks, is the one that wants this war in Ukraine more than anybody else. Okay? More than anybody else. It's destroying our country. It's tearing down Russia. I don't think Russia's doing that bad, but it's a big cost to them because they got this stiffy for Russia ever since the Russiagate thing happened with Donald Trump back in 2016. Ever since then, it's been anti-Russia everything. And I'm not pro-Russia, per se. All right? Never have been, never will be. I'm not a communist. I bleed red, white, and blue. All right? But there's something going on here. There's a vendetta in our country, in our government, against Russia. And we're fighting a proxy war, and people are dying for whatever interest we have in protecting Ukraine, but we're destroying it. Just to have a war with Russia. All right? Now we've got American equipment over there. We've got boots on the ground. This is a matter of time before this explodes. Meanwhile, Russia just again threatened to use a nuke. Just this week. Now, a lot of people say these threats are hollow coming out of Russia. I'm not so sure. A tactical nuke. And I'll tell you why. They say, we'll never do it to start off nuclear war. How could it start off nuclear war if they use a tactical nuke in Ukraine? You have a non-NATO member country. Now, theoretically, that should not kick off World War III.
But it will.
But it will. Russia should have no worries about doing a tactical nuke in Ukraine. They should. Don't get me wrong. I'm not minimizing that. I'm just saying, theoretically, there's nothing we would do about it. There's nothing NATO would do. That would be a game changer. So are we really going to go in there and go after World War III if he uses one tactical nuke and Ukraine retreats?
Are we gonna?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure we will.
Does Putin know that?
That I don't know. Might be counting on it.
There's so much stuff to consider when we're talking about Ukraine right now. There's so many things. I was talking to somebody else about this. We don't know. We don't know what Joe Biden is going to do. We don't know what NATO is going to do. We know what they say.
Joe Biden doesn't know what
Joe Biden doesn't know. Let's say the administration. Let's say the government. Let's say Congress. We don't know. They may just lay down. Maybe Putin thinks they would just lay down. Let it get over with and tuck their tails and run away. After what happened in Afghanistan, nothing would surprise me. And we got to pull that. Speaking of Afghanistan, the pullout in Afghanistan, we need to pull the clip, and we'll have it in the next segment. We'll open hour 2 up with this, of the Gold Star parent going after Joe Biden for looking at his watch. Have you seen this?
No.
Yeah, we're going to pull this up. This guy was pretty PO'd at Joe Biden. Point about the Russia-Ukraine war. I don't trust anything. I don't trust our government. When somebody says they're going to do something, I almost expect the opposite, wouldn't you?
Yeah, for sure. It's been that way for quite a while.
It goes back to the pipeline thing. Look, Russia didn't blow those pipelines. They didn't do it. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. There's no reason for that. They have complete control of those pipelines. You know, it's come out that Ukraine did it from the leaked documents, that Jack Teixeira, it was the Air National Guardsman, I believe it was,
yep,
that leaked those, and it was on, what was it, 4chan?
No, Discord.
Discord. It was on Discord. Leaked those, and we haven't heard from him, have we? I mean, they threw him in the brig.
Yeah, he's buried under a cell somewhere.
I mean, if you look at, and another thing we got to talk about too, dissenters. Now look, Jack Teixeira shouldn't have done that, but he did that, and a lot of stuff came out. And if you think they're going to let Jack Teixeira see the light of day, you're out of your mind. Proud Boy leader, we're going to get into in the second hour as well. That's some news about that was at January 6th. They're going to lock him up for potentially 33 years.
I thought he got 17.
Did that just come out? We're going to talk about that in the next. We're going to talk about that in the next hour.
I know one of them just got sentenced to 17 years, and the rest of them, their sentencing is coming.
We're going to pull that up in the next hour and get to it. But like I said, I don't trust anything coming out of Russia or Ukraine. I don't trust what our government's going to do. You know, Joe Biden said there was no way he was going to give F-16s to Ukraine, and this was last year. And now what are they doing? They're doing training in Poland with Ukrainians on the F-16s. Like I said, I don't trust anything anybody's telling me right now.
No, and there's no reason to.
And there's a lot of stuff. And there's a lot of stuff that the government knows, that the Russian government knows, the Ukrainian government knows, that our government knows, that we will never, ever, ever hear. And I get why people sometimes, and folks, don't feel bad about it, but when people go, I just can't even watch the news anymore. I've almost been there. I was talking to my mother about that. She's like, for 2 days I tried and I couldn't do it because once you go down the rabbit hole, you're screwed. You're in the rabbit hole. You got to keep watching it. But I sympathize with these people that say, I just cannot watch the news anymore.
Yeah, I've managed to pry myself away.
Yeah, but you have to dig so deep to corroborate anything anybody tells you. Anybody at this point, you have to do so much research to almost think you're right about it, to almost think you've come up with the correct conclusion. That's why shows like this matter. Okay, that's why Tucker Carlson matters. So anyway, we are in the last segment of hour one. We were talking about Russia and Ukraine. We're going to kind of move on from that a little bit, though. So Donald Trump, okay, his trial has been set in D.C. over federal charges of election interference. This kind of made news this week. It was set for March 4th, 2024.
Yes, third set of indictments, and it's the well, wait, did they set the New York, the hush money ones?
We'd have to actually pull that up real quick. I want to. There's so many indictments. There's so many charges that you cannot keep track of. Pull those up while I'm going through this. But March 4th, 2024. That's a familiar date, isn't it? There's something that happens in the beginning of March in the election cycle. Oh, that's right. Super Tuesday happens on the 5th. So you cannot tell me that they are not going after their political opposition at this point. I mean, you couldn't tell me that 6 months ago. So the district judge, Tanya Chutkin, set the trial to begin 1 day before Super Tuesday in the heat of the Republican presidential primary calendar. Of course, his lawyers asked for a trial date of April 2026, so he could get done with, the election, considering he's the front runner for it, which is long after the 2024 race concludes. But there's no way they're going to give it to him on that. I mean, there's just... I look at this, and I'm dumbfounded sometimes. Like I said, they're doing this with impunity. Did you get that pulled up yet, Deez?
No.
Okay.
I found that they set May 2024 in the documents case, according to CNN. And
okay,
Florida. I can't find the Washington one.
Let's do this real quick. Let's talk about the polling data here. Mm-hmm. All right, isn't like Trump's last. The latest RCP average, Real Clear Politics, which, folks, if you ever want to go and see the polls, the best snapshot you can get is Real Clear Politics. Don't go to the 538 or anything like that. Go to Real Clear Politics. So I got that pulled up right now, RCP average. Trump is at 53.6% Republican support. DeSantis is at 13.5%, and Ramaswamy is at 7.3%. This lends even further credence to the fact that the Republican presidential debates did nothing for anybody except Trump. Trump was the victor, and he wasn't even there. I mean, DeSantis' best, I think he was at 16 at one point. He was at 16 before the debate. Now, DeSantis didn't do horrible, okay? But he didn't do good. He didn't knock it out of the park like Ramaswamy did. So Trump's leading, obviously, in the polls right now. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Now,
March 25th is the tentative date for New York.
So they're doing all this when he's supposed to be kicking off the election cycle.
Yeah.
The primaries.
Duh.
They want him out of there. So the next question is, what's Vivek Ramaswamy's role in this? Vivek Ramaswamy at the debates said, paraphrasing, that Donald Trump was the best president we've had in this century, or in 100 years or whatever it was. Vivek Ramaswamy is such an ardent Trump supporter, you got to think to yourself, why is he running against Trump? Have you thought this?
Well, yeah.
Is he going to be the backup if Trump actually goes to jail? Is Ramaswamy really wanting to run against Trump?
No.
Or is he de facto running for him?
I think it's that and I'm going to try and garner as many MAGA people as I possibly can, because if and when he gets convicted and they find a way to keep him off the ballot, MAGA light.
I think there's definitely something there. And then he made a couple remarks about cutting off aid to Israel and making other people help Israel out, which, like I said, I missed that. But I guess he's been saying this. I guess he said this a couple times. So that was something that got Nikki Haley juiced up, which Nikki Haley's a rhino neocon anyway. And where's she at? She's at 4.9% in this thing. So, yeah, I just don't see a whole lot happening for any of these people unless it's Vivek Ramaswamy. And then, of course, Trump came out and praised Ramaswamy, the guy that's running against him. When has Trump ever praised somebody running against him like this? Came out and said, hey, he's a good kid, he's this and that. You know, he just needs to watch himself. He needs to rein it in a little bit and quit being so bombastic, I guess. Yeah.
Hold the F
Look it up. Oh, look it up. Yeah.
Trump said that about another human being.
Yeah, I was paraphrasing, but yes. He says he says he likes Vivek, but he needs to walk it back a little bit. Yeah, talking about it's going to, catch up with him. And yeah, Donald Trump absolutely did that.
Kettle. Come on, man. You know the thing.
Yeah, come on, man. You know the thing. Anyway,
that's rich. That's really rich.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was pretty darn good.
What are your thoughts on all of this talk about Biden's not even running? Have you followed this at all?
Yes.
Biden, he's put out a couple of little campaign messages, but he only has a office in his home state of Delaware. His whole team consists of 4 people, and his budget is so lower than a state senator's campaign budget would be.
There's no way they're going to run him. And here's the thing. They can't just remove him from office. Then they got Kamala Harris in there. They have to get this done before the next election. They're going to get him out of there. He's not going to run again. So if he does not run and he steps away, Kamala Harris steps away with him. If they bring somebody else in, if they can primary him.
No, this goes to what I was saying. For the last couple of weeks, the plan is already in place. They know who they want. They know what they're going to do. They're just riding this horse for as long as they can, probably until there's a clearer picture on who the opponent is going to be. And then we're going to get my health is not good enough and I'm going to step away and not run.
Well, here's something else, too. Now, Greg Kelly has come out and claims he has inside information that there's going to be leaked audio between now and Halloween come out that is going to cause Joe Biden to resign.
I saw that on Twitter.